Hey guys, I have an update for you that cannot wait. Sorry about my surroundings. I want to get into it right now. This AI bubble stuff, it's just dominating all of the headlines. I want to be crystal clear as to how right now is not like 2008. It's not even like 2000. First of all, let's distinguish 2008 from 2000. The problem with 2008 was that it was tied to banking. And banks deal with cash, i.e., the reserve currency of the world, the dollar. And when Lehman Brothers had all these subprime mortgages, which are literally just garbage, right? People who never should have been given money were given money, just toxic mortgages, right? They had all of these. They took them and they leveraged them, which means that they used margin, they borrowed, and they multiplied their debt in order to get a multiple on returns. Okay, but as we know through these financial instruments, whenever you use this type of leverage, it can blow up. And when it does blow up, it blows up quickly. Okay, and not only do you lose everything you have, but you can lose multiples of what you have. So, i.e., if I'm worth $100,000, I put on the line, I can lose 600,000 or $1 million because that's what leverage does. And so when Lehman Brothers went under, it triggered a huge financial crisis, so big that China had to come in and bail us out. As of 2000, China only had, I believe it was under 100 billion in long-term, short-term, basically any type of US debt and currency. And after 2008, that accelerated to a high of 1.3 trillion by 2013. Okay? China and the world bailed us out, but especially China, because nobody wanted to face the repercussions of what would happen if the dollar lost its world reserve currency at that time. It would have been total collapse for everybody. Even China didn't want to face that situation. Understand that China does not want to be the world reserve currency. This is my opinion, because everyone who's ever been the world reserve currency has faced bankrupt and failure. So why would they want to be it? And obviously, they don't want us to be bankrupt and fail right away because they're still working with us. And at the time, they were much better partners than we are today. You can say that America stabbed China in the back. That is a video for another time. So first of all, what have we established? 2008 was very different. It was the banks had to be bailed out. Not that they had to, but the reason that it was is that it was a threat to the entire financial system, i.e. the dollar dominance in the world. Our government only exists because the dollar is the reserve currency of the world. If it wasn't, they would not be able to spend their way into existence like they do right now. Okay, so that is nothing like what's occurring with the AI bubble that's going on. Okay, so the banks are very different. And in fact, I would say that the true crisis going on right now, this AI bubble is just distracting people from the fact of the de-dollarization that's going on around the world, led by China. You might just say, no, you just said China doesn't want to be the world reserve currency. They don't. But it doesn't mean that they want to be under our thumb in the SWIFT banking system. China right now is loaning out US dollars to other countries, to other businesses, and they are getting a rate back of what we do on our bonds. That's how absurd the situation is. But again, I'm not going to digress off into this because I could talk forever about that. So again, established 2008 is nothing like now. Okay? 2000, the entire dot-com sector was greatly overvalued. Yes, there were some players that survived, eBay, Amazon, etc. But at that time, they were overvalued. They weren't the behemoths that they are today. Okay, I want to point that out. In 2000, there was no government bailout. That's how 2000 even differs from 2008. All that happened was they had stimulus and they lowered rates. Now, when I say all, is that good? Of course not. But it wasn't like 2008. It wasn't like the COVID financial crisis where they had to bring in massive quantitative easing and injected trillions of dollars into the system. Okay, there was a huge stock market correction because an entire sector was greatly overvalued. Now let's talk about today. Right now, people are like, AI is in a bubble. Yes, it is. And no, it isn't. Certain companies are within a bubble. The companies that depend on LLMs or are selling their entire future on AI or aspects of AI that have not been proven are absolutely in a bubble. What companies are these? Anthropic, OpenAI, Tesla, Palantir, these are the companies that are in a bubble, right? These are bubble companies. But I would also argue that they are cult companies, i.e. Sam Altman, Elon Musk, and now Alex Karp are realizing that Americans are sheep, they have no meaning in their life, and that they will worship them as Jesus CEOs, okay? And you might say, well, they're going to wake up when they lose money. I don't know if they will. Tesla has not been doing great for years and nobody is waking up. Elon just keeps promising things. He's a promise company. But let's go by traditional definitions. Are they a bubble? Absolutely, they're a bubble. But the biggest companies in tech are not a bubble. The sector is not a bubble. Microsoft, who owns 25% of OpenAI, just wrote down $3 billion off of their income because of a loss associated with OpenAI, which we can extrapolate that OpenAI is losing $11 billion. Microsoft still reported $27 billion in net operating income for the quarter. Okay? They are not at risk of going broke. And people are like, well, they got to justify this AI spend. What else should they spend their money on? They're not going to spend it on roads. Microsoft is not the US government. They're not going to go out and invest in roads. They're not going to invest in bridges. Okay, when you look at these AI behemoths, when you look at Microsoft, when you look at Google, look at their balance sheet. They have hundreds of billions of dollars clear in assets. They're sitting on cash stacked to the moon. Google has 100 billion on hand in cash and cash equivalents. And in fact, they used to have more, and the stock market started punishing them, saying you need to do something with that money. And this is on top of the fact that they already have 90 or 80 billion pledged in stock buybacks that they already pay a dividend. So people are so concerned what they're doing with the money. It's nuts. First, they're saying, do something with the money. So they're like, okay, we're going to buy servers. We're going to invest in infrastructure. Why are you investing in infrastructure? It's a chicken little, chicken don't. Chicken do, chicken don't. Okay? They can invest in infrastructure. They have tons and tons of money. What do you want them to do with that money? Just bury it and put it in the ground? Right? So OpenAI, they can't absorb the loss. But if they fail, they're not anything, okay? They are not anything. Yes, Oracle will take a hit because Oracle's promising all these great revenues from OpenAI. Yes, NVIDIA will take a hit because NVIDIA's been selling so many chips to OpenAI. Yes, Microsoft, Google, and Amazon will take small hits in their cloud. Their clouds don't just depend on AI. And that's something I want to get out here right now. I have a world audience. Understand AI. Understand this. AI is not just LLMs. Let me repeat that again. I'm going to look right at you. I'm looking at the camera. AI is not LLMs. I want you to go right now. Use Baidu if you're in China or wherever you are in the world. Use whatever search engine you have. Go look up Huawei's site. Go to their site. Search AI in their press releases, and you will see a stack of press releases all the way back to 2008. And it will talk about how AI is improving every single aspect of their business. It's even improving their freaking accounting department because AI can review their documents with 95% accuracy. It's improving their energy efficient of their data center. It's improving their logistics. It's improving their supply chain. They have multiple, I'm talking, they probably have like 10 papers right there. AI has improved this 15%, improved this 40%, improved this tenfold. Okay? Huawei has 7,000 AI models. People are like, ChatGPT, that's the only model I know of. They have models, a model for this building to improve the heat. They have a model for this building to improve water flow. Okay, AI models don't just talk to humans. The reason you hear about those is that's the magical Turing test, when you can talk to an AI and you can't tell it from a human, and then people are like, oh, we have AGI. That's what AGI is. Okay, that's why everyone's so fascinated with this. But that's not what AI is. Go to Google. Look at their press releases. Look how the Waymo driver is entirely AI. I have all the Tesla fanboys. Waymo has remote drivers too. No, they don't. They're not drivers. They are driving assistants. The remote driver cannot drive the car. They cannot turn the wheel. They cannot step on the gas pedal. And they cannot stop the car. All they do is talk to the AI, give it context, and the AI makes a decision. That Google Waymo driver AI has been doing this for years. Okay, Google has used AI to optimize, machine learning and AI to optimize the energy uses in their data centers for years. They've been using it to improve their click-through rate on their ads now for a while. I'm using AI Max personally on jobs I do for people, and I'm a little concerned that pretty soon they're not going to need me to do AdWords because AI Max is generating real leads and real revenue. Okay, so do you think that Huawei, Google, they're just making this up? Absolutely not. The problem is that the media is telling you that they're just telling you AI is LLMs. It's a chatbot. That's all it is. No, it's not. So even if chatbots don't get to AGI, which they may not, okay, will it justify the build that we have out now? No, it won't justify building it out this much. But it's not like they're not going to need NVIDIA processors. They still need it for all the other AI applications they plan on doing. Okay, understand that that Meta is not even looking to monetize their AI models directly, consumer-facing ones, their chatbots. Okay, they're going to indirectly monetize it. I've been saying this for months, for almost a year. Alphabet, China, Google, they don't care if AI gets commoditized. That's why they're contributing so many open source models. They win either way. If you charge for the AI, if people will pay for talk to bots, fine, they'll take the money. If it's commoditized and the bots just bring in money to enhance other areas, fine, they're fine with that too. That's why China's open sourcing all these models. That's why Meta's open sourcing its models. That's why Google's open sourcing Gemma on all these models. Okay, because they're looking and saying we can do the best of both worlds. Okay, so hopefully this makes sense. Now, what am I saying? Am I saying that the sector won't crash? No, of course it could crash because the stock market is mostly based on human emotion and belief. And when people get scared, they all just get, they just start running off the cliff. One falls off the cliff, and the rest all just run right off after them, okay? And would it affect GDP? Certainly it would. But would the stimulus come because of that? No, the stimulus is starting anyways. Okay, we're in a larger crisis. We're in a dollar crisis. We have $38 trillion in debt. That's a little bit more important than the AI bubble. The AI bubble is a spectacle to distract you. Okay, from the real crisis that's happening. Okay, from the big crisis that's actually happening with the world's reserve currency and the $38 trillion of debt that people don't seem to understand how big that is, how big that number is, okay? So compared to 2000, right, we have actual companies that have actual revenue in the sector. Yes, we have some companies that are trash and they should get wiped out, but I don't think they will. I just heard Ron Barron today. He's this inherited billionaire or whatever. I'm never selling Tesla. Okay, Ron, you never sell Tesla because you're in a freaking cult. But he's not the only one. There's so many people in a cult in America, and now they're in stocks, right? They're looking to Elon as their AI Jesus. Okay? They are. So if it bursts, should those companies fall? They should, but who knows? Maybe their cult members never sell and the stock is supported, right? But it's not like 2000 where the entire sector was overvalued. the biggest players right now in AI. The simple fact is that people don't understand this. Alphabet is the second largest player in AI right now. All you hear is Sam Altman, Sam Altman, Sam Altman. Okay. Sam Altman, yes, he is number one. Yes, that is a tremendous accomplishment. Don't get me wrong. That's a big accomplishment. Guess who's number two? Alphabet, Gemini, 550 million average users every single month. 550 million monthly average users. Okay? You get that? 550 million. They are second. Nobody's talking about that. How are they going to make money? They already make money. They're on their track to make 400 billion in revenue this year. They made over 100 billion in net. We pay our taxes, we pay everything out. 100 billion just sitting there last year. They're on track to beat that this year. How are they making money? They're already making tons of money. Okay? They could, if Google could go out and buy OpenAI right now, that would never get allowed, but they could. And if it failed, it wouldn't even bother them. Yeah, they would have some effect, but their balance sheet would still be a fortress. Okay? That's how large they are. There was no companies like that in 2000. So now, if the Chicken Little effect happens and the sky is falling, will the market go down? Absolutely. But this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a fiduciary. I don't want any of you guys losing any money because of what I say. But if I see Google going into the teens, if I see Apple going to the teens for PE, if I see Facebook, if I see Microsoft going into the teens for PE, I am personally loading up. I'm just telling you, that's my personal thing. You do your own research, but I am loading up. Okay? I am backing the truck up. Okay? Because those are a legitimate company that have real revenues. They have literal fortress of balance sheets. They have moats. Right? If Tesla goes into the teens, and Tesla's trading at 285, if somehow their cult members finally wake up and they go down to where they belong in the teens, I am not buying, because Tesla should be single digits like every other car manufacturer out there. Right? So that's the whole thing. Am I saying the stock market isn't going to crash? No. Stock market can crash from anything. Right? It's just emotion. Human emotion can crash the stock market at any time. All it needs is people getting scared. A story like this to scare people. But if it happens, unlike 2000, the rational mind will be able to go out and see, hey, there are great bargains here. Google makes a ton of money. Microsoft just made 27 billion last quarter alone. Yeah, I think I'll be fine investing in them let's say they're at a 12 multiple, right? And you might say, but they're overvalued right now. These companies I'm naming, these fortress companies, they don't trade at that high of PEs relative to the average S&P ratio. So the S&P on average is like 24. Google's at 27. Microsoft's at 35. These aren't huge premiums you're paying for companies that are growing and are large and return money through dividends and are buying back stock. These aren't some absurd, numbers. Yes, Palantir, okay, at 400 or 500. Yes, that is nuts. Yes, Tesla is nuts. But again, people are nuts, okay? Look at all the people that worship Elon. All he does is go out and promise things. You have people that gave him $250,000 8 years ago for a car that still isn't delivered. And I guarantee you're going to hear it here first, will not be delivered until at least 2028. I guarantee it. I'm going to deliver, I'm going to demonstrate before end of year. Now it's going to be April Fool's Day. So we could say April Fool's. He's not even going to demonstrate it probably to the end of next year. And that means that it's not going to go into production for at least a year. And they're going to need it, a year and a half to get that going. It's going to be 2028. Those people will be waiting 11 years, the cult members. Okay. Some of them put $250,000 down for the first series, essentially giving him a loan. Okay. So is it possible that those people break? I don't know, because it's a religion to them, right? It's a religion. They worship the guy. And people are worshiping Sam Altman because their kids are going to go to school on Mars. And people worship Alex Karp because he helps kill the enemy. okay? But anything can happen. But if it does, I'm looking for value in the market. That's all I'm saying. And if the QE, don't think the QE is going to happen just because of AI bubble. The QE is already going to start. Again, the bigger crisis is in the reserve currency standing of the dollar. That's what I got for you. Hopefully that all made sense. Thank you very much. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. As always, have a great day. Bye-bye.